How to make your own t-shirt, pillows, and quilt. This project is for people who have basic sewing skills. It is a basic sewing project for those looking to enhance sewing skills, especially in pinning, stitching, and quilting. Warning: sharp objects and fast-moving sharp objects are involved with this project. Use caution when working with sharp steel sewing scissors, pins, needles, and when manipulating the motorized sewing machine. Injuries may occur. Gather and prepare your materials. For this project, you will need 12 t-shirts, fabric scissors, a sewing machine, thread, needles and pins, pillow stuffing, 2 yards of quilt batting, 2 yards of fabric, and buttons, sequins, fabric paint, lace for decorating. You'll also need an iron and an ironing board. Tips: cut the pillow fabric to the desired size with a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the edges. When pinning the two sides of the pillow together, because you will be flipping it inside out, place the desired sides facing each other. Make sure you leave a 5 to 6 inch gap on the bottom side of the pillow before inserting stuffing, so that you can flip it inside out and stuff it. Cut the t-shirts into patches 15 by 20 inches. Now, on to making your pillow. Make sure your patches are even in length. Once the two edges are even, draw straight lines on the edges and pin, making sure to leave a 1 to 2 inch gap for the stuffing, and make sure the t-shirts are inside out. Now, prepare your sewing machine. Choose your thread. Begin sewing, leaving a gap and removing pins as you go. Trim your edges, leaving about 1/4 of an inch for a margin. Reach inside the pillow and flip it inside out, so that the right side is facing outwards. Stuff your pillow with the stuffing, making sure that it is not lumpy. Pin the gap. Sew the gap, removing the pins as you go. Now decorate! Your t-shirts before and your t-shirts afterwards. Making your quilt. Tips: make sure all of the fabric is washed and ironed. When pinning, the sharp end should always be facing away from you. Make sure the fabric is laying flat before you begin pinning. Pins should have about 3 inches of spacing between each of them, and 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch from the top of the fabric. This helps keep the fabric in place and helps ensure the edges of the fabric from curling. Make a column of 5 t-shirts, making sure to pin it lengthwise. Sew together a column of 5 patches, removing the pins as you sew. Repeat that entire process, making 2 columns. Lay the 2 columns out side by side. Pin the columns together down the center. Sew the columns together, removing the pins as you sew. Iron and straighten out. Pin the quilt batting to the t-shirt pattern, around the edges and along each seam. Make sure that the front and right side of the quilt is facing away from the batting. Sew the quilt batting to the columns of patches, removing pins as you go. Cut the fleece to fit the size of the quilt, with an extra 2-inch margin on each side. You will be cutting this off soon, but for now, leave the excess margin alone. Arranging the fleece over the quilt so that it is in line with the fabric and batting, pin the edges of the quilt to the fleece. Note, remember to leave that gap open near the bottom. Sew the fleece to the quilt with the small gap near the bottom remaining open. This is where you will reach in to flip the quilt inside out. Trim the excess batting. Flip the quilt inside out, making sure to push out all the corners. Pin the gap again. Complete the sewing, removing pins as you go. Make cross stitches at the corners of each of the t-shirt squares. This will hold the quilt in place to ensure that the fabric doesn't move around. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy your quilt.